All right, let's talk about New Zealand versus Italy in Pool A. An absolute massive match for Italy. Not a small one for New Zealand either, who, as I mentioned on the video yesterday, are kind of flying under the radar a little bit. So lots at stake on this one. I'm recording this video from the stadium where that game is going to be happening, and it's half-time between Namibia and Uruguay. And if I just do that, it's the stadium here in Lyon. It's been an absolutely cracking game. A Wednesday afternoon match has no right being this entertaining so far. It's been brilliant. But as for another game in this pool, a very, very significant one that's going to be happening on Friday night, we have a little look at the New Zealand team, and it's about as strong as New Zealand can go, isn't it? Certainly in terms of the actual 23 men that are in the matchday squad, I think it's about as good as a New Zealand fan could expect. You would think that some of the guys that are on the bench, Tyrell Lomax for example, it's great to see him back. You think he'll be come a quarter-final starting at tight head prop, and maybe Sam Cane as well. And I think that's where my eye is drawn to the most with this. Is look at New Zealand's bench. Look at that bench. Finally, Fozzie has seen sense after the Namibia game, where Cam Roygaard and D-Mac put Namibia to the sword, played really well as a combination. You thought, well, why on earth aren't they on the bench to come and tear teams up, either when New Zealand need to chase a game or when they want to just put teams to bed after 50, 60 minutes. And finally, Fozzie is doing what seemed like the logical choice all along. So Cam Roygaard and D-Mac are on the bench, which is great to see. Maybe Lester Fainganuku could feel hard done by that he's not in the 23 jersey, but Anton Linnert-Brown, he's very experienced and can cover that 12 and 13 jersey. Other than that, I think the back line picks itself for New Zealand at the minute, isn't it? Dalton Papali'i's got the 7 jersey for this one. And like I say, the props may change come a knockout game, but very, very strong. And I think, and I may be guilty of this a little bit, although the caveat is I did mention it on the video yesterday. I think people may be guilty of forgetting just what a good side New Zealand are and are capable of being. Flipping over to their opponents on Friday night, Italy, and again I think this is as strong an Italy team as they could select. Tell me what you think in the comments, and while you're there, hit subscribe and give the video a little thumbs up, yeah? They've juggled around with the actual personnel. Last time out, when Tommy Allen and Paolo Garbisi were in the team, it was 10-12, but now Paolo Garbisi's back in the 10 jersey, Tommy Allen moved to fullback. And I mean, the only other selection where it might have been one way or the other is Dino Lam and Nicolo Canoni. Nicolo Canoni in the second row. Other than that, it's a very settled-looking team with some really, really good players. Particularly, I think Italy's pack has come on leaps and bounds. This really is the test of where they're at, isn't it? How good are Italy? We are going to find out. They've gone for a 6-2 split on the bench. I don't know what to read into that particularly. I think Italy, the issue they have is depth. The stark difference between the benches is massive, but I think Italy are going to have a go for it. I think they were guilty against Uruguay of playing a bit too much, a bit too early, and I don't think you're going to get away with that against New Zealand. I know it's the way Italy play. They're very much a kind of jouet team. I think if they try that against New Zealand, they're going to get absolutely spanked. So I think you'll see a lot more balance in the way Italy are playing, and they'll go for it when it's on. So what I've done is taken those two teams, the two 23s, and I've gone each player 1 against 1, 2 against 2, right the way down to number 23, and picked a combined team. I'd love to know your thoughts on what you make of this, because it doesn't make for great viewing if you're an Italy fan. I've gone for 3 out of 23 Italians. Not a single Italian in the back line, even with the little rugby pixie Ange Capuozzo, I'm afraid to say. Good as he is, I just can't see an Italian being better than their opposite man in the back line, nor on the bench. In the pack, Italy, I think they've come on massively. I would pick, based on what I've seen, I would pick the 2 props. Danilo Fischetti and Marco Riccioni. I think they're excellent players. And Michele Lamaro is a brilliant flanker. So, and there are others. Seb Negri's not far off getting in over Shannon Frizzell. Lorenzo Canoni, the number 8's great. He's not Ardi Surveyor though, is he? And you know, Brody Retallick and Scott Barrett are two of the best locks on earth. So good as the Italian players are, they're just not that good. And this is it. You want to get excited about a potential upset, and you know, were Italy to beat New Zealand, it would most likely knock New Zealand out of the pool stages, and would maybe be close to being as big of an upset as Japan over South Africa in 2015. I just can't see it. And I want to kid myself into thinking it'll even be close. But really, I'm not so sure it will be. I think Italy will do a good job at what they do, which is keeping it close for maybe 45, 50 minutes. But then I see, unfortunately, as I sit here now, and I say unfortunately from a neutral's perspective, not because I don't want New Zealand to win, just because I would love to think that these gaps are closing between the top teams and the ones that are just pushing up behind them, just as I want to see the gap closing between the emerging nations and some of these other teams. And we thought that with Uruguay after their performance against France. We thought, well, maybe Uruguay could spring an upset against Italy in Nice last week, and they just couldn't. The class told with Italy in the end, and I think it's going to be the same story. We're getting excited thinking, I wonder if there's an upset potentially brewing here. I think New Zealand will win by 25 points, and they'll reassert themselves as a contender for the World Cup and remind everybody they're not to be forgotten about when it comes to talking about the quarterfinals, and they could quite easily knock Ireland out if they end up playing Ireland, which it looks like they may do in a quarterfinal. That's my thoughts. Let me know yours. This game's going to get underway in a minute, so yeah, enjoy the second half of this one. Get stuck in with your comments, and I will see you on the next video. Hit subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Nice one.